Howdy y'all, you got the Bulldog on the channel. Have you ever wondered why all of us mechanics have this gigantic toolbox sitting here? Have you ever wondered why we spend thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on tools when you could do the same stuff with the satchel of tools that you buy from Walmart, and you can work on anything with it? We can't, but it's the perception that we're working against a lot of times. Show you why. Got this Sonata. Now the customer, when we called to tell her the headlights were done, we mentioned something about the belt squalling on it. She says, "Oh yeah, what is that? Can you fix that?" Well, it just needs belts. This is one of them. This here is the tensioner for it. In order to take this thing loose, you have to take this nut loose. Whoever did it last wallered that nut off. It does not look like a regular nut anymore. You can kind of see it in the light. See here. You see how nasty it looks? And it does look that nasty. It's not just the illusion of the bulb, the bright light. There you go. See how it's rounded off? I did that with the box end of a wrench. I put a flank drive wrench on it. It rounded off. Now, what it really needs is a 6-point socket put on it. But guess what? Here's my ratchet. Look at how long that is extra. So, my next thought, okay, what's it going to take to get this cooling fan out of the way? Well, it's strapped to the upper radiator hose. The upper radiator hose is over top of it, so you have to drain the cooling system, take the upper radiator hose off, take off this bleed line. It becomes an ordeal. It's a lot more work than you would think. It's not just, well, just go ahead and do this. No, there is no just go ahead and do this. It's an hour, hour and a half of work, and then you're supposed to stand by the estimate on this thing when you did not know that that nut was going to be rounded off by somebody else. Okay, my next thought. I'll take off the whole tensioner bracket. Well, there's that tensioner bracket right here, and it goes down there, and you see it going behind the AC pump. The tensioner bracket is one piece with a bracket that goes on the side of the engine where the AC pump mounts up. So we're talking hours of work there. So I can't just take the bracket off and then put it out on a workbench and work on it and make sure it's all good. My last ditch effort. My boss had a 6-point 9/16 wrench. 9/16 is a freckle bigger than the 14 millimeters that bolt is. Now mind you, I went around it with 2 different wrenches. 14 millimeter like they're supposed to be. I put this 6-point wrench on it. Even though it's just a little bit loose, I put a pry bar to keep it pushed up against flat, and just, it broke loose. It wasn't even all that tight. This is why we spend tens of thousands of dollars on tools. This is why we have gigantic toolboxes. It's to store all those tools. Try to keep them safe. Try to keep them accounted for, because on a simple job where you're supposed to just have 2 or 3 tools, you end up with 24 different tools laying all over the front of the car because of something that didn't work like it was supposed to. We don't work in a world where it's supposed to work and it works as intended. We live in a world where we're the ones repairing things. They're here because they don't work like they're supposed to. They're here because they're worn out. They're here because they need parts replaced. We run into this a lot. The reason that we don't want to eat that time, meaning we don't want to just charge what it was going to cost, well, not only is it not our fault that that was like that, but it's like that a lot. And one job that's supposed to take 10 minutes ends up taking an hour. Think about that. That's 6 times longer than it should have. That's 50 minutes that you could have been working on something different, making money on it. That's also why we don't like when other people work on stuff and screw it all up. That was made like that. It didn't come up from the factory that way. Somebody did something sometime and rounded that off. They didn't care. It was gone. They don't have to touch it ever again. It's a simple job that's supposed to be simple, that's supposed to be something that you can do with simple hand tools. It's not. I did it with a specialty tool, a 6-point straight offset wrench. We don't even have the metric version of it. I guess I'll have to buy a set of metric offset 6-point wrenches instead of the metric 15-degree offset 12-point wrenches that I already have and was using to begin with. That's also why we don't use cheap wrenches, because cheap wrenches spread. Cheap wrenches don't fit perfectly. If it don't fit perfectly, it's going to round something off, just like that one was. That's a little bit of explanation. Why, whenever you drop a vehicle off or you're saying, can I just wait on it? And the mechanic goes, because how often this happens. This 5-minute job, 10-minute job turned into an hour-long ordeal. 45 minutes into that 5-minute job, they don't know if it's going to turn out good or not. They have no time frame. They won't know until it comes loose. And they also won't know what they have to do. I had not exhausted all efforts before I had done that. I had a couple, 3 other things I was going to try, and then I was going to go to an air hammer with an air chisel in it, with a chisel tip in it, and try to zap that thing on the edge. Now, after I get this thing off, I'm going to dig in my bin over there. We're going to replace that nut. I might be the next guy to take it apart. It might need a crank pulley. It might need a timing belt. I want it to be where I can take it apart easily so that I can do my job. And I wish other people would take that same pride. Like, comment, subscribe, hit your little bell notification, share it all around. Talk to you later.